What heights can Pitt basketball realistically reach in the next 6 years under Capel, Pat?
I think it's pretty high. I mean, they've proven they found a formula that they did not have early in his tenure, and it was quite the rebuild. It was a build. I think would be an understatement. I think it was a total build and a reconstruction. They're at a point now where and I've tried to articulate this to people, like they've gotten the veteran transfers that have kind of stopgapped the bleed and got them back into contention. And now they've proven with Bub Carrington, who's lighting the Summer League up, and Jalen Lowe, that they can get elite freshmen that can play right away and combine the two. And I think that's going to be the ultimate telltale is, are they able to, because they're going to get a higher level player now because they see what Carrington's done. Can those two things coexist? If they can, if you could take Leggett and you could take Zach Austin and players like that, Blake Hinson even, who no one expected him to be what he became, and combine them with Brandon Cummings and that type of player, they can be dangerous. And the freedom they play with guards, they'll be fun to watch. So I'm excited. I think it's well deserved. I know there are quips about only making the tournament once in 6 years. You got to take it all into account and the job he's done. And I think most importantly, kind of reinvented himself. And you started by trying to get the higher level recruit, and then they've kind of had this no BS mentality lately. They're going to get good people that want to be here, and they've kept them, which is easier said than done.
With you being in the athletic department and working in that world and seeing and experiencing contracts and hiring processes like that, how much of a fine line is it to be patient with coaches, to be patient even with players? Because there had to come, with Heather and your department, there had to have been a lot of patience to be had whenever you could have easily just said, all right, Jeff, your time's up. We're going to move into a different direction. But you held your water. You stayed true, and it's probably going to pan out, and I think it's already have panned out in many other ways than just, making a tournament at this point.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I mean, the circumstances are relatively unprecedented with COVID, and then obviously what was inherited. There were penalties for certain things as well that happened when installing Zexit. So it became this. It was going to take a while to climb out of the bunker, and I think that the tough time became, okay, that's in the rear view. How are we going to move forward, and to what degree can we take a step? And I think Heather and Jeff, got in the old bunker together and said, let's chart a way forward. And I think they, it was different than in the past, right? That the formula became different. And I give credit to Jeff for that, because listen, you coach long enough, it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, and you have to be a confident person to be a head coach at the major college level, and to do things and tinker things in the spirit of trying to give this program a chance to be successful. I think there's a risk in that, and it's panned out, it's paid off. So there's a fine line. The return on investment is never going to be more important in college sports as we enter this new era, because coaches are getting paid a lot of money, and there's a lot of money on the table to win, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't win. So I give credit to Heather. I give credit to the university for staying patient with Jeff, because I do think only they know what the plan is, right? Mm-hmm. Only Heather knows why she hired him. Mm-hmm. I think those around her know to some degree, but if you believe in that, you stick with it. And there comes a breaking point for sure. But I think in this case, patience, continuity paid off.
I think they probably got close to a breaking point. I mean, he was 11-21 before they made the tournament, and they were down at half to like South Alabama State or something, and they were under 500. I remember early in the 7 games into the season, and I know a lot of people around here just on the air, off the air, thinking like it just isn't working,
right?
And for the turnaround to happen from, again, 11-21 to then 24-12, winning 2 NCAA tournament games, it's the It's the turnaround from the start of his tenure. That it happened in season was remarkable to me.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, we've got all these pieces and they've coalesced and we know this is our year. They might have thought that internally. They had a terrible start. And they went on to be a shot away from winning the ACC regular season to winning 2 NCAA tournament games. I can't think of a harder time either to transition a new coach than these last 6 years. Like if you had a guy and you had an established program and you've got to figure out everything on the fly, at least you've got your core principles in place. He's had to do this while the entire landscape of collegiate sports has shifted underneath his feet.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, those are the unprecedented circumstances. And it's not an excuse. It's just an explanation for how, listen, the 2 guards you brought in and Xavier Johnson and McGowan's left. Audi's Tony left. And, in year one, it's you win a couple games in the ACC, and it's a big victory, right? You win 3, 4, 5 games, whatever it was. It's a big victory because you got blanked the year before. And I think the inflection point for this team probably came in Brooklyn in 2022 when they got spanked by West Virginia.
Michigan,
they get spanked by, and they come back and they lose a close game to VCU, a upper mid-major team. But something changed, and Jeff's talked about it in that locker room, and they started to get, and Dorin, you certainly know this, Crowley, you've been around sports enough to know that, when players take control of something, your opportunity, your chance of success increases greatly. It can't just be a coach barking in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that they finally got some veterans that carried the program, and Jamarius Burton and Nike Sabandi and Blake Hinson, that even though they were short tenured in the program, they decided to take a hold of it, and they took it to a level that everyone that was associated with it's like, okay, we can do this. Last year there was challenges, right? I mean, they started 1-4 or 1-5 in the ACC. I remember having Hinson on the Saturday show. Hear him on the air like, we're going to be fine. I'm like, in what world do you think we're going to be okay?
Yeah,
we're 1-5 right now, but they had a belief, and now this to me is the challenge of the future. Yes, Jeff Capel has proven he's the right man for this job right now. The degree to which they can take it to another level, they've got to get off to a faster start. Have to get off to a faster start in non-conference play. Notch some bigger wins, because that's held them back come tournament time, seeding-wise. Last year, obviously, beat on the bubble. Got to get off to a faster start. I think they have a team that can do that. And if they do that and carry it into league play, this is a program that has this market cornered, with the exception of our friendly neighbors down the road in West Virginia, which they have a great program too. They've got this market cornered. It's similar to the Pirates in some ways, right? Like you've got this team that people think, oh man, there's pieces that it could be really good, and you start to win, that place will be on fire again.
Oh, it was a cool thing for so long.
Oh yeah, I mean through our lifetime of playing, I mean it was we were the afterthought as football. We were the afterthought. I mean, you go to the Pitt on a Wednesday night to catch a basketball game. You couldn't even walk into Peterson Event Center.
They used to flash. They didn't lose at home. They put it up on the scoreboard, like however many games it's been since they lost a non-conference home game. It was one of the toughest places to play in the entire country. That's not hyperbole. That's just a fact. It doesn't take much. Well, it doesn't take much now to get back there, but you needed to put the tourniquet on, and that's what he's done.
I think Jeff Capel has also done a good job of bringing alumni back that did play during that time and knew how to play Pitt basketball. And from what we remember of the Pitt being packed and that being a hard ticket, he has done a good job. There's a little thing that I think it's the bricks, right, of the former
brick
players.
By brick, right?
Brick by brick. He brings back those guys to push knowledge on how to play the right way and how to play Pitt basketball. And I think that's been a huge effect as well, because you get the guys that we just named of carrying that water for Jeff Capel and these teams of leading them to where they're at right now, which is not where they want to be. I think it has a lot to do with the guys that come back and believe in him and believe in the program too.
Yeah, I think it'll be, the things that you point back to the Jamie Dickerson era, and I was there during that era, and it was the highest of highs, right? But you kept hitting your head on the Elite Eight, right? Scotty Reynolds and all those things. And I think the one thing that remains to be seen, if I had to be an objective onlooker, and say, can Pitt do this? Right? If Pitt's going to win a national championship in basketball, which I think is possible, and that's not me being that's not blue and gold colored glasses. You're one of the best leagues in the country, year over year, and you've proven you can beat the best of the best.
FAU was in the Final Four 2 years ago.
Right. You generally have a pro or two on your roster, and Carrington wasn't a top 100 player coming out of high school. He turned out to be probably one of the better picks of the NBA draft based on what we see so far. Can they go get a 5-star guy that fits, that becomes another lottery pick, and piece around that, hold on to it for 1 or 2 years, and then because that to me is something that Pitt hasn't done really since Charles Smith.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, I mean, Steven Adams was the 14th or 12th overall pick. Bub was 14th. You know, that is, you have this culture now. Can you recruit at a higher level and maintain it in today's landscape where there's money and cars and all this stuff? If you can do that, you're onto something. And I think Jeff Capel's proven he can get in the room with those guys.
No doubt.
He can get in the room with those guys. He just had nothing to sell. Mm-hmm. Now you got something to sell.
Mm-hmm.